It's a growing scheme that fraudsters are using to steal cars across the country, and it's working. Our story begins in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Last month, Mike and Christy Childers decided to put their 2010 Corvette up for sale, and they used what has become one of the preferred methods for buying and selling cars today, Craigslist. The car was listed at $42,500, and the responses started coming in within a few hours. And after weeding out some of the obvious scam efforts, Mike focused on one very persistent potential buyer and started talking to him via cell phone, supposedly from Atlanta, but actually from Chicago. They agreed on the price, and the buyer sent a bank check to Mike's bank overnight.
They received the check on Thursday morning. We tracked it. He sent us the tracking number. We tracked it, verified it was there, called the bank then to verify they received it. They had received it. We asked if the check was good because we'd heard that there were scams on cashier's checks. And we were told that it was a cashier's check, it was guaranteed.
With that, Mike was able to make arrangements for the buyer to pick up the car, supposedly using a car transporter service that was coming about 3 in the morning. Unusual, but then truckers drive at all hours, and the Childers had their money, or so they thought. That weekend, someone called to let them know the Corvette was being advertised for $30,000 on Craigslist in Chicago, and that's when panic set in. They couldn't check with the bank to see if the check, which had been sent directly to their bank, had actually cleared until Monday. And until the car was officially listed as stolen, the police couldn't investigate. By Monday, the check, which had one bank's name on one side and another bank's name on the other, was determined to be a fake, and the Kentucky State Police began investigating.
Kentucky State Police contacted our agent down in Kentucky, who notified us up here in Chicago with NICB. We've already been investigating these Craigslist scams here with Chicago Major Auto Theft. So based on the information that the car was for sale here, I contacted Chicago Auto Theft, and their detectives began posing as an undercover buyer for the Corvette. They're looking to make the quick hard cash. They get the car through their scheme from the victim. They bring it back to the Chicago area and roll it over to an innocent purchaser as soon as they can. Sometimes the ads are actually posted before they have possession of the car. The Childers Corvette was the 84th incident that we know of from this crew in Chicago.
That same week, law enforcement in the Chicago area was able to recover the vehicle. They notified the Childers, who went to Chicago and drove the car back. With that, Mike Childers says he's learned a valuable lesson.
One thing that I didn't do that I regret the most is following the instructions on Craigslist. I don't blame Craigslist for what happened to us. I blame the perpetrators that did it to us. If I ever do it again, I'll use Craigslist again, but we're going to meet at a Kentucky State Police Station or a local Elizabethtown, Kentucky police station. Deal with the person face to face. We're going to ask for IDs to validate that they're who they are, have the police check that. If they're paying in cash, we're going to have them verify the cash. If we're paying by a cashier's check, we're going to go to our bank. We're going to have the bank deal directly with that individual in person so that everything's verified up front.
From my understanding, it's pretty common across the country. I do know our crew here in Chicago has been involved with vehicles in Maryland, New York, Michigan, Minnesota, Oklahoma, Texas, Kentucky, pretty much throughout the country. You have the lenders who may or may not be, stuck with it. You have the victim who lost his car. You have his insurance company if he files a claim. You have the third-party purchaser who may lose his car, and then the third-party purchaser's insurance company. And on top of all that, like with the Childers, they had all the impact of the stress and strain and having to come up here and get the car. And it's just a multifaceted impact.
For the National Insurance Crime Bureau, I'm Roger Morris.